Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the Supernova Show! And today we're going to talk about some Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We're going to talk about the ending of Andor, aka episode 11 and 12, and then Tales of the Jedi, that 6-part series for Disney Plus. And we've got our main man, the reigning, defending, undisputed Fandom Fights team champion of the world, Robert Kastner.
Yep, that's me. We're shills for Disney, apparently.
Oh yeah, apparently.
We don't talk about anything else. Although now that I think about it, we mostly talk about Disney content.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna say there is some stuff that I do want to mention off top. So I don't know if you heard about what happened with Rings of Power.
No.
The actor who plays Andor, he's not coming back for season 2.
Wait, Uncle Benjen?
Yeah.
Why isn't he coming back?
Apparently he just. All right, so supposedly it's scheduling conflicts. But when people say that, it's something else.
Well, I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're right. That's usually code for something else.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, he was probably the most fascinating part of the show. So I don't know who the actor is that they replaced him with, because they already announced that.
Oh, so he's getting replaced. Andor is still a character in the show.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I have no idea who he is. But yeah. And then I watched for the first time. Have you ever watched Age of Adeline?
The Blake Lively movie?
Yeah.
No, but I know of it.
Okay, so me and my wife watched that yesterday, and now I'm like, I understand why they didn't have Anthony and Gruber be Han Solo in Solo: A Star Wars Story, but they totally should have. Like, he pulls off being young Han Solo so much, and he looks like him to the point where I swear Harrison Ford totally slept with his mother. Like, if I found out in the afterlife that was true, I wouldn't doubt it at all. Like, I'd be like, yep, that makes sense.
Speaking of young Han Solo, this week's been peppered with trailers of things.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a big day for Disney trailers. Got to watch a lot of cool stuff. But earlier in the week, there was a trailer for a movie that everybody was excited for called Cocaine Bear. You heard about this?
Nope.
It's a comedy directed by Elizabeth Banks, but it's based on true events of a drug drop that happened in like the Arkansas or Georgia forest, and a 500,000-pound bear got hold of a package of cocaine and literally did it because they ate it and then went on a murderous rampage. And I bring that up because Alden Ehrenreich is in that movie, along with the late great Ray Liotta and Kerry Russell. So, like, Star Wars people galore in this weird movie, which looks funny as hell, but it also looks scary as hell because it's freaking bear high off its ass, going around murdering people and doing things. Obviously, it's fantastical, but it's like chasing down a car, like an ambulance going 70, 80 miles an hour, leaping like it's super powered. But yeah, I was wondering what happened to Alden Ehrenreich after Solo, and he helped make this movie, apparently.
Yeah, apparently this. And so, yeah, some other things happened. Like the Indiana Jones 5 trailer came out.
It did, yes.
And as a person, like, I was talking to my wife, we watched the trailer, and she was like, I've never watched any of these. I was like, I have only ever watched the bad one.
Dude.
I ever watched Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because I remember about a year ago, I said I wanted to review it on the show. As someone who's never seen any of the first 3, I wanted to like watch it without having heard all the nerd impact of it for my entire life, but I've only ever seen the 4th one. See what the hubbub is about.
Can I tell you that before they made a 4th one, it was one of the best trilogies ever.
Yeah,
it was definitely probably with Back to the Future and the original Star Wars before Lord of the Rings, and even still was the best trilogies out there. And then they soured it with 2008's Crystal Skull, which I took my parents to. Like, we had like a date essentially, because my dad really liked Indiana Jones and I really liked Indiana Jones. So I was like, oh, we'll go to dinner and we'll go see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And then I watched it. And I was like, eh, can't believe spent all that time. And it was aliens. Spoiler alert for everybody.
I remember watching the South Park when they talked about it, and I was like, I have to watch this movie because I got to see what's so bad about it. And I've seen it, and I don't like. I understand it's a bad movie compared to the other ones, but I don't understand what makes it a bad movie.
You don't understand what makes Kingdom of the Crystal Skull a bad movie?
Like there are definitely worse things.
Can
Like
you? I mean, the CG, the whole
oh
sequence of the jungle is awful.
yeah, but
Basically, up until the point we get to the ants,
I was gonna say like,
but like even
but
that's
I've
weird.
I've mentioned before, like unless someone points out that there's bad CGI, I don't ever
Oh,
notice
the
bad.
monkeys. It's everything. It's Shia LaBeouf swinging through treetops with monkeys that look awful, and the fact that him swinging through treetops is fast enough to catch up with jeeps that are going like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah,
The whole idea of it, the whole concept of it is flawed. Also, like, it's Harrison Ford at age, what would he have been, like 66, probably 64, still
yeah.
trying to do Indiana Jones stuff he was doing when he was like in his 30s, 40s, and it just didn't like. It was felt really bad when he had to like throw a punch, because you're like, ugh,
Now
that's not a real punch.
I have seen that people don't like the fact that they are directly referencing that movie because he has his wedding ring on
Mm,
in the all the shots that we've seen.
yes,
So it's not like a hey, let's retcon over this. It's no, it's a direct
I
sequel.
mean, they're doing a lot of de-aging in this movie. They're doing a
Yeah,
lot of, because the speculation is that it's time travel based, this movie.
yeah,
And you can't have 80-year-old Harrison Ford or whatever doing all the action stuff. So I guess they're just digitally putting his face on stunt doubles' bodies or whatever. So we'll see how that goes. It's James Mangold's a good director. I'm always for Mads Mikkelsen as a villain,
yeah.
so I will give it a chance. But I swear on my life, if this is bad, never again. I'm holding to the 3 in the 80s, and that's it. I'm never going back. I don't give a crap.
But yeah, and then the new Transformers movie trailer came out.
Yes, it did.
And as someone who I'm gonna have to see that because one, my wife and sons love those movies. I hate them.
All of them.
All of them.
Oh
My
my.
my kids love all 6 of the like, I like
Wait.
the first
What?
Transformers movie and Bumblebee.
What about Transformers the movie, the animated one from '86?
Oh, they've never seen that one.
Oh my gosh. Well, they got to see that one.
Yeah, because
It's not equivalent to like 78 Lord of the Rings to the Lord of the Rings, because that's giving the Michael Bay Transformers infinitely more credit than they deserve. But it's on a similar trajectory.
okay.
But
'Cause
I would say that Transformers the movie is way better than Lord of the Rings 78.
oh, no,
Well, way better. It's better. It's significantly better. I'll say.
okay. That's good because there are some things that still to this day, like, even though they use, like, human Nazgul in, Fellowship of the Ring, there's nothing scarier than that animated Nazgul sniffing around looking for the hobbits.
I honestly think there's nothing scarier than when like the hobbits are doing that weird run where they're like sliding across
Yeah.
the screen. That part terrifies me, honestly. That's the scariest part to me. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know if I could ever bring myself to watch that again.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, although every time there's Middle Earth questions now, there's always a question about 78, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
Kept me from getting a perfect game in TM Geek, that movie. Or Onsel, sorry. In Onsel. Really annoying. So Rise of the Beast, they're all for it.
Yep. Well, I haven't showed them the trailer because I
Oh,
don't like showing the kids trailers to stuff that I know we're
okay.
gonna go watch.
That's fair.
Um,
That's probably the best way to handle it.
Yeah, but, like, also my best friend, he loves the Transformers movies, and I only like the first one and Bumblebee.
Uh,
But
I
since
l I like Bumblebee a bit. Transformers 1 is fine. I went with my friend who visited me from college to go see Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, and I was super upset.
yeah.
And then I don't think I've ever really watched 3 all the way through, and I've never watched The Last Night. I don't think
Yeah,
I ever
I've watched all of it. I remember I had seen The Last Night with my buddy because he loves the Transformers movies, and then we went to go see Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think it was Spider-Man: Homecoming, or it was
Yeah,
Far.
that was 17, that came out the same year.
Yeah, and the movie theater I was playing started playing The Last Night, and I was like, "No, no, not again." And there were people that got out of the theater to go tell him, "No, we don't want to watch this crap." And I was just like,
Those people are the heroes.
"Yeah," because I'm not a very confrontational person, so I would probably just sat there and watched the entire thing
Oh my god.
again.
No, I
But
wouldn't have done that. I would have
yeah,
left. I would have been like, "No, we're not doing that."
yeah, no.
But that's fair. When you play in leagues that feature Transformers, it you know, it's kinda sad to
I know. Like
care.
Transformers is the reason why I retired from TM Geek because I got Transformers in my second round with Antonio, and
Yeah,
I was like, "Yeah, we're done." Because I knew Sector 7 because I actually really liked the first movie,
okay.
and I like Bumblebee a whole lot, but I think I like Bumblebee because of John Cena. Like I have to be honest about that part. But I like the first one, and I'm just like, technically, this Rise of the Beast is supposed to take place between those two, so maybe it will be good before
Oh,
all.
so it's, like, between the '80s and '07?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's supposed to be like Bumblebee is the appearance of the old Camaro,
Yeah.
so we know he gets that form after Bumblebee, but
Yes.
he gets the new Camaro in '07, so it has to be somewhere in between that.
Fair.
I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
Plus, I mean, it doesn't have Mark Wahlberg in it, so I have to
thank
figure
God.
out.
Yeah, it has Pete Davidson,
Yeah,
who was not in the trailer, weirdly enough. Um, thought like, when you do the trailer on YouTube and they're like, stars Pete Davidson and Anthony Ramos, I'm like, "Well, I saw Anthony Ramos a lot. I saw no Pete Davidson at all." No, I mean, everybody was excited in Age of Extinction when they were gonna do Dinobots, and that disappointed
yeah,
very heavily. So, we'll see how this works. Beast Wars, people love Beast Wars, I know that. But I will tell you that I was introduced to that in a very, very graphic post that was made by one of my Facebook friends. I won't say what they said, but it when they said it, I was like, Jesus. And then the most important trailer was the Guardians trailer that came out.
yes. Which like I'm wondering where that is in the timeline because
I
I
think it's
don't
after everything.
yeah, it's after everything, but man, like they left Ragnarok, spoiler alert, just left, and now they're like got a new ship and all that crap, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
got the Bowie.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
like
between Love and Thunder and the holiday special.
okay, I have not seen the holiday special
Okay.
yet.
I have, because there are, interestingly enough, a holiday special one-off, there is important lore-related stuff in it. So it's actually in your best interest, if you're gonna see Guardians 3, to watch the holiday special.
Yeah, honestly, I was waiting to watch the holiday special so that we would have something to talk about next week.
Okay, cool.
Because I don't think we'll have anything like there's nothing really big at all.
No.
So, I'm
It's
like
all, like, speculative. It's all trailers at this point now because we're getting to the end of the year. Because this is Oscar time. It's not
yeah,
like, well, there's Avatar, but I don't really give a crap about Avatar. Uh,
yeah, me either.
I didn't really watch the first one, because I felt it was very disrespectful to Native American population and was basically just a ripoff of Fern Gully.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
thinking I watched it, and I think for 2009, it was beautiful, but
yeah.
I think stuff is adapt so much now that it won't be special.
It won't be. No, it's just the thought that James Cameron hasn't worked for. We haven't seen James Cameron joint in 13 years. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, what's all the big hubbub about? That's what's gonna do it. So it'll make a lot of money, but I don't give a crap about that. That's the only big thing left
yeah,
till next year.
yep.
Oh, Super Mario Brothers trailer also came out, which was amazing.
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel that Chris Pratt's not doing the accent, but everything else I love
I'll
about.
get over that. It's gonna be reference galore. It's gonna be like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but stuff I care more about. I care about Sonic the Hedgehog, but I really, really care about Mario lore.
So we've been doing a thing where every December we watch 25 Christmas movies because of,
You're like Freeform. That's
yeah,
what Freeform does. 25 Days of Christmas.
yep. My wife does that. She makes that, but we started with the Grinch, and I was just like, I hate that he is retiring. Like he is probably my favorite actor ever.
Wait, who?
Jim
Cumberbatch?
Carrey.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said the Grinch. I was gonna ask you which one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. One's called How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and
Yes.
then the new animated one is just called The Grinch.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
Done by Illumination, the studio who's doing Super Mario Brothers.
Yep. But yeah, because like I will say, I think he ended at a good spot. Because I still think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is his greatest performance he's ever had.
No, but
But
it's a great way to. I mean, you went out in the zeitgeist. You went out very relevant.
yeah, I think is it maybe that or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
It's that, or it's the Truman Show, or I'm trying to think. I mean, like people don't like the movie The Majestic, but the performance is fine.
I've always loved his wackiness, and I think as Dr. Robotnik in Sonic 2 is him at the most extreme point of that, and I love it.
Okay.
But but yeah, like I'm interested. Like I will watch Super Mario. I will absolutely go do that.
I'd be offended if you didn't. I have nothing to do with the movie.
Yep. All right. So, what you want to talk about first? Tales of the Jedi, Andor, or Black Panther, Wakanda
Tales of
Forever?
the Jedi. Let's get that out of the way.
All right. So we're gonna throw some spoilers up there for a 4-week show. That old show, but
Yeah.
So I didn't care for any of the Ahsoka bits.
I like the first. I like her extreme origin story of her being born. I like how her culture. It's like a Native American culture, right? It's sort of you have a Spartan culture. You kind of go out and prove yourself. In this case, it's not as a kid; it's as a pregnant woman or as a just given birth woman. Old tradition versus new modernization, and I like that. I like showing off Ahsoka's intuition or force intuition by being able to coerce. Was it like a giant cat? I'm trying to remember now. It's like a giant cat, right? Go to force her to back to her civilization. So I like the first episode, but the other 2 episodes I don't.
Yeah, like I already knew that. Oh yeah, she's got to beat the Inquisitor, and because she's got to get the lightsaber crystals so she can purify them to turn them white. Because she obviously has the white lightsabers, and even though there's a book about it, they feel the need to be like, "Hey, we gotta show people how she gets these white lightsabers for when the Ahsoka show happens." And people wonder what's up with this.
I mean, you could have just done a flashback in the Ahsoka show.
Yep, you absolutely could have. But
I honestly I know what you're gonna say because you didn't care for that, but you like the Dooku stuff, and I like the Dooku stuff too. It fills in some gaps really nicely. But honestly, was it a needed show?
I do not believe that it was, but I loved everything that the Dooku stuff, like corrupt, and I like that. I do like the fact that like it's always been painted that he was probably a Sith during the time of Phantom Menace because he would have had to kill Sifo Dyas
Mm.
and create the clone army and do all that stuff, and that would have taken time before Attack of the Clones. So, and I like how they explain. No, I mean, spoiler alert, you're out there, you already know this, but Yaddle dies, and
Yeah, that's a bummer.
which I mean, I guess that's the way they explain why she's in the council in Phantom
And
Menace, and
that's
then
been
she's
not.
just gone.
Yeah,
And
and nobody seems too broken up about it.
yeah, I guess no one knows that she's dead.
That's insane.
Like, I mean, I guess in this point they would have like the Force was shrouded because the Dark Lord of the Sith. That
Okay.
they might have just been like, and he killed her in the works, so they probably would have hid the body really well.
Yeah, but the
And
fact that nobody was like, it was like 10 years. Nobody was like, maybe we should investigate what happened to Yaddle.
yeah, and because like there's episodes in the Clone Wars where they go and investigate. Like they're like, I don't know how Sifo Dyas died. He's been dead for a really long time. Let's go investigate that. But I guess because they know Sifo Dyas died, they just don't know where Yaddle
There's
disappeared.
only 2 of Yoda's kind,
Yeah,
and one died. They didn't were like,
yeah,
oh
and
well.
I love the fact that she talks like like in the High
Yeah.
Republic stuff. She talks like a normal person,
Mhm.
and I love that they showed that here. So now I'm like wondering, I'm like, ooh, is it that Yoda accidentally misspoke one time and was just like, yeah, this is how I've always talked and just kept it up for 800 plus years? Or is that how his species talks and we'll see that Grogu will talk like that? Or is it that he is just the weirdo? And
I'm gonna say he's the weirdo.
yeah, like,
That's incredible. Like, he's the last one to survive because he was very strange, very powerful, but very strange. I like the relationship, the exploration of the relationship between Qui-Gon and Dooku. I like
yeah.
that leading into, because it's like, well, Dooku was there and he was his master, but why didn't he show up to his funeral? You're like, well, he was fucking pissed off. That's why. I was like, I get it. He didn't. He felt like Qui-Gon died in vain and got pissed off at Sidious for making that happen. So I like that. I think that's good. You're
Yeah.
right.
I do think
Everything
it's
fills in
weird.
gaps nicely.
I do think it's a little weird that they just let a Jedi who's not in the Order anymore, because he's one of the members of the Lost 20, which are masters of the Order that have left. They just let a master of the Order just rummage through their library and cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the terrible security.
I mean,
Jedi.
I guess they've just figured, hey, we know who you are. You've been here for such a long time. We'll never do anything nefarious. And I guess, like, even at the beginning of Attack of the Clones, they're like, Count Dooku was a Jedi. He wouldn't kill anyone. So they still have that belief 10 years later that, oh, just because he left doesn't mean he's a bad person. And just because he's leading this separatist movement doesn't mean he's a bad person.
As more Star Wars content comes out that deals with old Republic stuff, I feel the Jedi come off worse and worse each time. I don't think there's anything that's made the Jedi look better since prequel movies came out.
Yeah, no, nothing has. And I think that's kind of
Even
the point is that they became the biggest hypocrites,
Yeah,
and that's
I mean that's what Luke says in Last Jedi.
yeah, like
But
they had like Sidious won because hey, if they stayed neutral, then the independent systems would have won, and they could have been. Sidious would have came out and been like, the Jedi failed you. They didn't choose to protect all you dead planets and stuff because they would have had the Death Star. But if they join the fight, then Chancellor Palpatine can be like, "Look, they're warmongers. They're killing. They're trying to. It was their idea for the clone army. They forced the power upon me, and they're killing all these. They're trying to suppress all these other people. So either way, the Jedi were gonna lose.
yeah,
Like I think,
Sidious was playing 4D chess
you know,
all over them, and they had no shot. to retaliate.
Now, I will say it's really weird that in the 10 years between that and Attack of the Clones, he ages so much. Dooku does. Oh
It's
my
true.
lord.
Looks like he's like 40.
Yeah,
And
like
in 10 years, he looks like he's 65.
yeah, which I mean, he's supposed to be in his 80s when he dies in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's like what Christopher Lee was. So
Yeah, so he's supposed to be like Christopher Lee's actual age, but it's so weird that in the 3 episode arc they don't age. They grow it. He grows a beard, and that's it. He doesn't like
that's
go
how
full
everybody gets
gray.
old, right?
Yeah,
Qui-Gon too.
yeah,
By the way, shout out to Liam Neeson for showing up to do like 2 lines.
yeah. Shout
Basically,
out to Liam Neeson and his son for showing up. Like I love the fact that like Liam Neeson is so loyal to George Lucas that he's like, you don't own the company anymore, and if you give me permission, I'll still highlight the cool things that you did. Like I like that.
I
Like,
like that he sort of has a hold on this character, even though he doesn't have the ownership of it. And he's like, I'm just, if it's Qui-Gon related, I'm going to be there and I'm going to provide a voice. Why
yeah,
not?
but yeah. Do you think they'll do a season 2 with like other? Because I would love one that explains like what Luke's doing between 6 and 7. Because even though we kind of know some of that stuff,
I mean, the
or
Mandalorian's sort of, and Book of Boba Fett's sort of filling that out, isn't it?
yeah, but I mean that's just like barely the beginning of his temple. Like I want to kind of, and I
Well,
don't want
we don't
him.
know how far Mandalorian will go, and we don't know
Yeah,
how often they'll go back to the Luke well.
honestly, I don't want him to do it again. Like,
They shouldn't, but it doesn't mean that they won't.
yeah, because now that
By the way,
Grogu,
shout out March 1st, Mandalorian season 3.
oh yes, and then the fact that like they could technically do something like Grogu was a Jedi, so they could do something for that 60-year period where he was just whatever he was doing. And
For
it'd be
50 years, we were
yeah,
just hanging out in an egg.
yeah,
That'd been fun. If you can, I think they probably will do a Tales of the Jedi season 2. If you give me a Plo Koon arc, I'm all there.
yeah.
That's all I want. I don't give a crap about anything else. Just give me one of those.
Yep.
Ayla Sakura, maybe. I don't know. Kiari Mundi. You know.
Quinlan Voss. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or like some of the ancient Jedi that.
Yeah.
I mean, no one else is going to care about the High Republic people unless, no offense, Laura, you've been on the show before, but normal people are going to be like, who are all these people? Who's Corran Horn? Who's yeah, no one. So like, unless they do like iconic characters like Revan or something like that.
Darth Bane.
Yeah, which that wouldn't really be a Tales of the Jedi thing.
No, but I don't care. They should just do
And the
that.
fact that they've also released like the plot of Acolyte, and it's going to be 100 years before Phantom Menace, and it is going to
Yeah.
be directly about the Sith.
Yes, about how they infiltrated.
Yep. And I love that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Because like we never really see, besides these Dooku episodes where we totally see the dark side, his perspective. Like you don't really see from the dark side's perspective. They're the villains.
No.
I like the fact that we're going to see like the inside of what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
And even though when Laura was on the show 6 months ago, I pitched an idea of a story about 2 robed figures walking around and them being the main character being someone who knows of the Jedi, but not really. And then at the end of it, they ignite and they're red. So if this happens in The Acolyte, Disney, I'm coming after you. No, I'm not. I mean, we got Bob Iger back as CEO of Disney, so that's something. But yeah, all right. So what do you want to talk about next?
Black Panther 2. I want to leave Andor.
Okay. So I really like this movie. I will say, I do think it's interesting that so first off, I cried twice in this movie.
I think I cried 3 times.
Yeah. Right at the beginning and then right at the end.
I cried at the title
Yeah.
sequence.
Yep.
I
Same.
cried at the montage when she's remembering him, and I cried at the end at the
Yeah.
reveal. So at
Like
least 3 times. There might have been one more.
I will say, I don't like to say this, but I think they played too much on the Chadwick Boseman's dead throughout.
I think it's hard because of how integral he was going to be to the story, and I think he made such an impact on Ryan Coogler that it was like I don't know how to I don't know how to make this cathartic without doing it this way. Or I don't know how to make it seem relevant to me and to the outgoing people who had so much love and respect for Chadwick that I don't know how to do it without making it essentially an homage to him.
Yeah. Like at the end of the movie, I really appreciated that. I mean, it did kind of not really accomplish anything. But by the end, the uh the people, they are kind of still like, hey, well, we're allies with them now, but we might betray them in the
I
future.
know. I like that as a ploy. It's a great way to keep a villain alive and keep a villainous situation alive without it seeming super contrite or
And
super.
honestly,
Yeah,
like I thought I
con-
did like that the way they used Killmonger. I like
that's
that they
great. That
used
was a great way. I like that too. I didn't know how he was going to show up, but I like
I
that.
thought because since they well, all right, the not Atlanteans because they don't want to get sued in DC. Uh,
Talakan.
yeah, like I hate that because Namor was from Atlantis before Aquaman was,
Yeah,
but because it's so renowned with Aquaman, they don't want to use that.
yeah,
Just like before, like they could never have called him a mutant, so they just never mentioned it. They have one mention in Iron Man 2 about uh, there being something under the water when they're looking at all the Avengers and crap, but and on the map that Nick Fury shows, but they're like, well, we can't really reference Namor without him being a mutant, and we can't really say that word, and now they can, and I love it. And
well, we also got the notice in Endgame when Okoye
yeah,
talks about tremors under the sea.
yeah, which I wonder if because that was also after the Fox acquisition, so I wonder if they couldn't have made that reference if Fox still had if Fox hadn't been bought yet.
Don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. So like I I wonder. Like because they wouldn't have been able to pay it off properly. Because like from what I heard, they can't ever make a Namor solo movie
They can't.
because
No.
Universal owns the distribution
Yes.
right.
Much like the Hulk situation. They cannot make a Namor movie.
Yeah, so I do think it's interesting. Like, all right, so he is Cuckoo Khan, but
Go,
in
hold on. He's gone.
yeah, and we see that the actual god is in the pantheon of gods in Thor Ragnarok. That yeah,
Oh, you mean in Love and Thunder?
yeah, no, that's what I meant. Yeah,
On
Love and Thunder.
He's at Omnipotent City.
Yep, and so is the Panther god as
Yes.
well. Yeah, like they're sitting right next to each other, which then you're like something man, you guys are just like about to watch your both your followers just go to town on each other in the like next movie. So
Yeah, it must
that's
have been awkward for them.
yeah. Um but yeah, like I really liked it.
It doesn't succeed as being a fully fleshed out movie, but it succeeds as being an entertaining piece of art.
Yeah.
And that's
And
important.
I now remember what I was gonna say with Killmonger
Mhm.
is I thought Oh, they're going to introduce the fact that he dove into the water at the end, stabbed himself, and then fell off the cliff. They're going to say that the not Atlanteans got him, and that when she gets down there, that's going to be how they get the heart-shaped herb
I didn't
back.
realize he fell in the water. I thought he just slumped over on the mountain.
I thought because he was like he
Yeah,
made
no,
the
he said he'd rather jump, much like the ancestors, he'd rather jump from the ships than be in bondage. I mean, but I think he just falls over. We don't
which
know what happens to his body.
yeah. But I do like that they used him being like the thing to be like, hey, he killed your mom, get him, kind of
No,
thing.
it was a great means of corporealizing Shuri's grief and anger.
Yeah,
It's a great way to do so. It's a great way to anthropomorphize it so that we get a chance to see it, and it's not just something that has to be emoted. It's something that she can go back and forth. In this case, someone she can go back and forth with.
yeah.
It was a great idea. I thought Angela Bassett was awesome. I wish she would get nominated for something. She won't, but I wish she would because she was incredible.
Like, I wonder if this is one of those things where they killed her in in the movie because she's more committed to her 911 show.
No, I mean she was angry. She did not want to be killed off, according to
Oh,
her.
really?
No, she said she was upset at Ryan Coogler for writing that part.
Okay.
But he told her, he was like, it's a comic book movie. We can bring you back in any manner of ways. You know?
Yeah, because like that's what when I told my wife that she died, because we watched 911 together.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, it's because she's on this show and she's like the main star of the show." And I was like, "That you have a really good point." Because a lot of times that happens. Like it's better than recasting the person to just kill him, I guess.
Yeah, I mean
Or a more impactful way.
it's a motivating factor. It shocked the hell out of me when it happened. I was like, what? I was like, we just got over, we spent 2/3 of a movie trying to get over the fact that T'Challa's dead.
Yeah.
And then you kill Ramonda. That's not great. I mean, I have some of the same gripes. I watched a lot of Black Panther 2 reactions, and I have like similar gripes. There are a lot of things that don't work. The stuff that tries to make it more of an extended universe doesn't work. I still found it entertaining. Like the Martin Freeman stuff, I always like Martin Freeman, Julie Louis-Dreyfus getting to be in another thing,
Yeah.
really pushing her forward. But like, it wasn't needed. Of
Yeah.
course it wasn't, but it was still fun.
I do like the idea of her being the head of the CIA.
Yeah.
And then in turn, like I don't think the entire connection with him, them being exes, was really needed. But I do like the idea that she's the head of a government organization, but she's also,
It makes it
not
more
Madam
plausible.
Hydra,
It makes it more plausible that she'd be able to bring all of these wayward characters together.
Yeah.
Much like how Amanda Waller could do it in Suicide Squad. You have to be the head of something, of a big government organization, in order to be able to pull strings and do extraditions and have people look the other way and create a controversial government program with apparently Harrison Ford at the helm.
Oh yeah, like I'm really interested in. Like it's
I don't know what that's gonna look like.
Yeah, no. But
no, a lot of people crapped on this movie. Did you see that? Like, I saw a lot of people like, it's another one of these Phase 4 shots and misfires. But I was like, no, I was entertained throughout. I didn't feel the length of it. I thought it was a good villain. I thought it was good performances. It was emotional. It was shot really, really well. The Act 3 is a lot better than the Act 3 of Black Panther, because it was done better. There's some silly things, things that, it's the same thing with Age of Ultron. You had to set up a lot of stuff, and all the stuff that you had to set up falls by the wayside a little bit and doesn't really make sense. But overall, a worthy sequel to a good movie back from 2018.
Yeah, like I understand they had to set up Ironheart because they needed to, but
Did
that was
you?
the one that I did not. I was just like, okay. Like I
It was
understand,
fine, but
like
it's pretty big for me.
why are you going after the engineer that made it instead of the government organization who probably now can make it themselves?
That's what I was watching. It was like, you sure the government people, they couldn't get people on this to just be able to copy what she had done,
Yeah, like
first engineer it?
yeah. But I mean, apparently in this universe, sometimes that doesn't happen. Like freaking Tony can make a arc reactor in a cave, and then the Stark scientist can't do it. So maybe the random scientists are a lot better than professionals.
I'm telling you, when Reed Richards shows up, he better be making all kinds of crazy stuff that nobody can replicate.
Yeah. Now I will say, I do think it's. I know they only had the one in credit scene
Yeah,
with
I was bummed.
Paula Jr. And I know a lot of people have said they're like, this is a purely movie thing because that's not a character that's in the comics. Like he actually marries Sue Storm in the comics,
Yeah.
and they have kids.
Yeah.
But they hadn't introduced.
Wait, he didn't marry
Oh,
like
not
Storm?
Sue Storm.
Yeah, Storm.
Just Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but and they have kids.
Yeah.
So since they had not introduced Storm yet, they couldn't do that. But I like the fact that, hey, yeah, like the scene in the first Black Panther where he like is nervous to talk to the girl. Hey, he got the girl, and they got together and they had a baby, and that's beautiful. Like,
I mean, I'm glad that happened because when Ramonda goes and visits her in Haiti and she's gone and they're like, why didn't you go to the funeral? And I was like, yeah, that seemed really crappy. And she didn't really explain why. I thought it odd. I was like, this is very strange. And then, the thing when Ramunda and Shuri are in the forest and she's like, I gotta tell you something about your brother. And we don't get there because Namor shows up. But then at the end, you're like, oh, okay. That makes all the sense in the world. Thank you for tying that thread very tightly because I thought it was very strange how they were playing Nakia. But then,
so I do have a question about that. Does he have superpowers? Because it shouldn't be transmitted genetically.
it
Because
can't because T'Challa didn't have powers.
Unless like they remove the powers from them before they do the deed to make babies. Then be like, hey, we got to get you to come in here. I got to drink that thing. That would be a weird thing to. Yeah.
No, I assume it doesn't like impact them on a atomic genetic level to the point that it can be passed chromosomally. So no, I assume he does not have powers.
Yeah.
Unless he's a mutant.
Because apparently that can. Like, I do like that they are slowly introducing mutants, but it's so weird that they're just like they just say it and.
Yeah, what do we have? Two. We have two now.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember if there was a third person who said. Oh no, we have three mutants because Jen Walters is a mutant. She has a mutation, at least.
Yeah.
So there's 3 mutants that we know of.
Yep.
But overall, I think it's beyond No Way Home. It's the best piece of Phase 4 content.
Okay, so I disagree with that. Like I haven't actually went into my list to be like, hey, what's my MCU ranking? I still think No Way Home's the best.
Yeah.
But it is probably up there. Like, it's one of those weird things where this phase seems more like it's random, slow builds compared to all the other phases that were like they definitely had a plan for it. And now I wonder, now that Bob Chapek isn't stifling creativity and they're just, hey, let's make everything for Disney Plus because I want money. I wonder if now, starting in phase 5, things will be more organized.
Yeah, my thought is just like this is sort of the gap phase. You know,
Yeah.
1 through 3 was a story. 4 is kind of like we're scrambling to try to set a table, and then 5 and 6 are like, but
All
we
the,
extend the table out. Here's
yeah, the
where
King and Secret Wars stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, like I had heard rumors that before Chadwick died, they were going to use this movie to set up Doctor Doom.
Most likely, I bet. Yeah.
And I understand that they needed to do that. Make this more about as a love letter to Chadwick. But I really want to see Doctor Doom. Dang it, him and Magneto are my favorite villains, and we've seen 2 great Magnetos, which makes me not want to see one in the MCU because there's no way that they can compare to Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender. But I want to see a good Doctor Doom. Dang it.
Well, I mean, you gotta wait till 2025.
Yeah, like I know it's just
Potentially for potential.
yeah.
Although who knows? Maybe like Quantumania. We don't know what's gonna show. Who's gonna show up? Where? When? Why?
Yeah,
It could be
that's
a
true. Like
reference to Doctor
it
Doom.
could just be like he is the thing, and like we don't know what Secret Wars is going to be all about, but
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Like I think it's going to be really weird that when in like 20 years, when we're in like phase 10, we're going to get another Black Panther movie leading with a T'Challa.
Yeah.
But I like that they could set that ground. Like at least they're actually setting it versus going back like the Peter Parker is the little kid in Iron Man 2. Retroactively doing that, they are actually setting up to be like, hey, we don't really know if we like Letitia Wright because of some of the decisions that she's made. Let's go ahead and set up this the successor now.
Yeah.
But
Oh, she's not even like the ruler of Wakanda. It's M'Baku.
yeah, that was pretty funny. Where he's just
That
like,
was weird. I was like, so what happened? They had an agreement where he was like, I'll run things for you while you go off, and it's
I
kind of
do.
like you're not going to college. I'm taking a year to find myself.
I actually like that because I like the thought that there's a king that leads the country and then the Black Panther that protects it.
I like that concept if you flesh it out.
Yeah.
It was just really confusing in that moment. Like, take another minute or two that maybe they have a conversation about it or something. I don't know. Like, whatever. It happened, and I was like, what?
Yep. But
Because I thought it was funny, like when she turns into the Black Panther and she shows up and they do the arm wrestling match. I looked at my wife. I was like, did this take the place of the fight to the death on the waterfall to prove who's strong enough to be the Black Panther and the king / queen? I was like, is that it? Because that's way more. It's way more. That's less hazardous to people's health.
yeah, like I will say, there's always weird things with, at least for me, that like I understand. Like when I saw the trailer and I saw Angela Bassett like sitting on the throne, I always just assumed that was during after Infinity War and before Endgame.
Mm.
Because it never made sense to me, and I guess because I live on Earth, where we don't, your partner is never supposed to sit like, just because your consort in most monarchies never actually has any power.
Mm.
They're just the person that helps you create the air. So I like the fact that like at the beginning of the movie, I thought, oh, they're having her be queen. Is this going to be like a throwback or a throw at the fact that they don't like Letitia Wright because of the entire her not getting vaccinated and halting production? And I thought the entire movie, I was like, this is going to be a swerve, and it's going to be Angela Bassett is going to be the Black Panther. And then when she died, that was the shocking part. Was I thought she was going to be Black Panther the entire movie up
I
until
thought that
point.
before I saw the second trailer.
Yeah.
When I saw the second trailer, I knew it was going to be Shuri because they intimated with the sonic cannons that it was going to be her. I was like, oh, so that was just Shuri. Because I was like, oh, it could be Nakia. Because the first trailer, it's like, well, it's definitely a woman. It's a woman's Black Panther outfit. But then that's like, well, it could be 3 people then. Really. 4 people. Sorry, I forgot about Okoye. It could be 4 people. And then in the second trailer, they showed the cannons that she used in Black Panther. I was like, oh, well, then it's Shuri. And you kind of ruined that. So, cool.
Yeah, like, I thought it was going to be Angela Bassett, like, the entire time. Up until, like, she's at the bottom drowning. I'm like, nah, she's going to get rescued. It's going to be fine. She'll survive. And then she doesn't. And I'm just like, oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. And then I immediately, like, assumed, oh, well, this is going to be interesting. Like, I like the way that they brought the heart shaper back because I have wondered for 4 years how are they going to do this because they destroyed this thing with the thought that Chadwick was going to be alive for this, and so they wouldn't need any more of it. And I like that they like artificially did it, but I wonder if that will have any like negative consequences in the future because it's not the actual thing. So,
or it could be replicated.
Yeah.
So,
but alrighty, Andor. Alrighty. So,
greatest Star Wars show ever.
Okay, so I had been thinking about this. I definitely think it is the second best season of a Star Wars show that we've had.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think it's Mandalorian season 2, Andor, Mandalorian season 1, Obi-Wan, then Book of Boba Fett. And that's only live action because if we go with all of it, all of it gets trampled on by Rebels.
Okay.
So, like, there's nowhere that any of that even competes. But just because of like how much material there is in those cartoon shows, like they don't the live action stuff they don't have a chance, and they don't have the budget to be able to do the things that you can do in animated. So in live action, I think it's second.
Okay. I mean, I've said I like Mandalorian more. It gets me in touch with my feels and nostalgically. But I think in terms of how things are written, shot, acted, it's better than anything. It's just, it flows so well. Everything it does makes sense. There's nothing that's like a throwaway thing. Everything makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's refreshing from a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, I still think those first 2 episodes don't do it for me.
Okay.
But I feel the same way about Rings of Power, and I love that show. And then, so the last 10 are great.
It's hard to get started off on like gangbusters. Like Lost was able to do that because it spent more money than any show ever had to do a pilot. But that's hard to do. Yeah, like I will say, I hate that there's only going to be 2 seasons of the show. When they originally pitched it and it was going to be 5, I was like, yes. I think season 2 will end up being better than Mandalorian season 2. And I think that will tip the scale for me. But the fact that there's going to be more, well, all right, so between season 1 and season 2, that'll be 24 episodes. Between Mandalorian season 1, 2, and 3, that will be 24 episodes. So I'll say at the end of Andor season 2, I will judge it
and as an entirety with all 3 seasons of Mandalorian.
Okay.
And I think that will be a better judge.
Yeah.
I just think
It was just nice to see a Star Wars thing, like a Disney thing, stick the landing, as
yeah.
well as this end part of the season did. It took me a while to get through episode 11 because the baby stuff, and every time I was watching it, I was like falling asleep. But that wasn't the episode's fault; that was my fault. But like episode 12 was just it was incredible the way that you could intersect all these stories to bring everybody together, and everything was logical, and it didn't feel as if anybody got short shrift. Maybe Cinta a little bit, but she killed a guy. Like she killed that guy who was like hovering about, who I had no idea what his real role was, but like nobody really got short shrift. Everybody was given ample time to do something at that, and especially Fiona Shaw, who the little bits I had seen Fiona Shaw, and I didn't know she could act in such a manner, but she was great.
Yep. Aunt Petunia is the best. So
She's really good in the show, but
yeah.
I mean everybody's really good in the show for the most
Honestly, my favorite character in the show is Luthen.
part. Yeah, I mean yes.
Like I think like I described it to a guy I work with. I was like, all the parts of the show that are the most interesting parts are all the parts of the show that don't have Cassian in it.
Yeah, I mean Diego Luna's not sort of designed to be the star, even though it's called Andor. He's sort of like a facilitator. He's a point guard. He sort of like keeps everything flowing ahead while everybody gets to score and shine. So at the beginning, it's Luthen, and then it's like Vel and the crew, and then it's Mon Mothma, and then it's Kino Loy,
Yeah.
and then it's a little bit of Saw Gerrera in there. The guy in the ISB, Deidre, a lot of Deidre, Marva, and even like the ancillary people who hang out on Ferrix, like who go on the ship at the end, like his friend, like they all get a chance to shine too.
Yeah.
Even that asshole who I didn't like, who ran like the shipping yard in the first episode, I was like, who the hell is this asshole?
Yeah.
Had a great last episode. I was like, cool, this guy got redeemed. He seemed like a really cool guy.
I do like that they are using like I didn't like earlier in the season when they recast Colonel Yularen. But I'm glad that you only see him from far away, and I like that they use Maester Kyburn or whatever his actual real name is. I have no idea.
When he came up, I was like, "Hey, look, it's Kyburn."
Yeah, like I like that they use him a lot more. I like that the Imperial side of things, like we talked about earlier with Tales of the Jedi. I like seeing the villain side of things because guess what? They don't think they're the bad guys.
No, I like seeing how mired in bureaucracy they are, to the point where they can't see the little things, and there's like one person who's trying to rally them, and she's got to fight against the not only like the sexism that's apparent in dealing with the Empire, but like just the massive amounts of red tape that go over everything that force people to not be able to do their jobs in an adequate fashion. And the rebellion's kind of like that too. That's the thing I like about the show, is that you see the rebellion, and Luthen makes reference to that in that great monologue. The rebellion and the Empire are not so different.
No.
It's just that one one likes to show how little it cares about people, and the other one does it. It's like a show not tell not show thing. That's the difference.
I do think I like the Death Star reveal, because even though when I saw the prison episodes, I knew exactly where it was going.
Yeah, I mean that seemed, because it was like, it seems real crappy poetically that Cassian is making the machine that's eventually going to take his life. That's
Yeah,
pretty
and then
crappy.
there's a scene in episode 11 where he's looking out towards the sunrise,
So,
and it
same as
looks
on Scarif. Yeah.
yep. And so I thought that was a little like, hey, hint, hint, poke, poke, wink, wink to the future.
Mm.
But most of it, I'm just like, yeah, like I thought, I don't remember what episode it was, maybe like 5, when the K2 droid tries to choke him to death.
Yeah, it's 5.
I was
Or
like,
no, sorry, that's 7.
7? Okay. I was like, oh, please don't be the way that he meets
No.
K2. And it wasn't, and I was glad for it. Because I was like, oh. And now I'm wondering, because like we in canon we know how he meets K2 because it's in a comic book. But like the fact that yeah, they're gonna change it. And I'm cool with that. Like I know a lot of the canon junkies hate when they change crap, and I don't give two craps about that. Like, no offense, I used to be a real stickler for stuff like that, but I would much rather it be good and interesting and on the screen than just be like, oh yeah, you have to have read this thing or
Now,
whatever.
getting people to have to read things in addition
Yeah.
to watching everything is way too much to ask,
Yep.
even for Disney.
But yeah, like, so I did. I really liked the show. I like all the weird things. Like even like you said, yeah, the rebellion's not even pure. They have to like Mon Mothma has to get with this
It's like
crime guy.
yeah, it's like scumbag.
Yeah, he's like money laundering. So like even she's not good. Like
No.
we see she's better than the Emperor, but like that's a very slippery slope that
Yeah.
you could totally go fall down on.
Everybody makes these concessions at
Yeah.
the promise of something greater, but they don't. And Luthen, again, this is all part of his monologue. That's why it's the perfect monologue. Encapsulates this, that you hope that it will be beneficial, but you won't get to see the fruits of your labor, so you don't actually know. We know because we're the viewers and we've seen stuff way in the future, but they don't know. They don't know how it's going to turn out. They have an expectation, but that expectation could be wrought with instability, which everything is at this point. Everything's unstable. So I like the mirror images of the two.
And I do like the fact that like even shows how hypocritical the rebellion is.
Yeah.
It leads to the fact that there's a book that takes place between 6 and 7 where even though Leia had helped the rebellion this entire time, when she goes to run for Supreme Chancellor, someone reveals that she's Vader's daughter and they all turn against her. Even though she did all this work for years and years and years. Nope, but because she's Vader's daughter, that's immediately the bad thing. Like, yep. And I wonder, like, even when the show is over, I still want to see like rebellion side of things because I think we could see, unless Luthen dies in season 2, we could see that. We don't really know where Mon Mothma ends up. We know like eventually Chandrilla becomes the capital of the New Republic, but she is not. It's eventually moved to Hosnian Prime, and
which gets
blown up. So Chandrilla, yeah, and Chandrilla is still out there, so she could still be alive in the course of post Return of the Jedi. Like we could see her in the Mandoverse stuff, and she's yeah, like so I wonder what they're gonna do with like we know where Bail Organa ends up, but the rest of them, the rest of the founders, besides like Saul Guerrero, we know where he ends up as well. But everyone else, we don't really know what happens to him. So I kind of want to see all that, and I like that. I still think Bail Organa is going to be in Andor season 2.
Okay.
because of how not good that East New York show is.
Okay, I was just gonna say, got to make sure that he can get time off from East New York, much like Philip Bassett got time off from 911.
Yeah, but I think it. I mean, I don't know, but I'm definitely interested to see where it goes.
I'm sad it's gone. Can't wait for it to come back. But fortunately, like I said, Mando in a couple months will fill the gap.
Yeah, we won't have any content till I don't have no idea when.
I don't. There's not a show that comes out before Quantumania. No, and I think there's like what Secret Invasion comes out between Quantumania and Guardians 3, I think.
Yeah, let me look. I'm gonna look up all this. I'm sure there's probably something that I'm missing, like in our nerd realm stuff, but was Black Panther the end of Phase 4?
Yes.
It was? Okay. So that's why I'm not finding anything else out. Okay. Yeah, Quantumania is in February. Maybe What If? Because it says early 2023.
Okay, so Secret Invasion's not till like the summer.
Well, it also says early 2023. So according to what your depiction of early 2023 is,
I imagine there will be a Marvel thing in the 3 months between Quantumania and Guardians 3. I would have to imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, I am yep. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We got yeah, well, I'll have plenty of like trivia stuff to talk about, but
yeah, that'll be like the thing.
Yes,
non-Schmodown stuff.
Yeah, I still want to get Amaru on here. I'm gonna talk to him about it and see if he can come on before December's over or whatever. But yeah, I know. Yeah, we got the holiday special that I will definitely watch before next week. I would eventually like to talk about the Weird Al movie.
Oh, sweet. Yes.
Yeah,
glad.
I'm gonna watch it this coming up week.
Okay.
It's great.
Let's talk about it.
Yep. And then I have to find a place to stream Indiana Jones, but I will want to watch that as well and talk about that.
Please do.
I definitely will.
Please get that done.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good show. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. At Robert Kastner, Facebook, trivia stuff all over the place, including something that happened between the two of us on a certain league. So go check that out. That's where I shine.
Yep. At Colton Roberts 8 on Twitter, at supernova_show. And we're heading out. Both of us have children now and are sleep deprived. So good times. Yeah. 10 out of 10 would recommend though.
Absolutely. Don't forget to revert waitresses out there, everybody in the Supernova Show landscape. Thank you.